More now of my exclusive interview with Ivanka Trump. She is, of course, a staunch defender of her father, one of his closest advisors, and now she is opening up about her moment in the spotlight as she prepares to introduce him as the Republican nominee. This is a big moment. Are you nervous?
I'm terrified. I'm excited. I'm honored. I'm very humbled by it.
Has Dad given you any input on what he'd like you to say, or is he leaving it up to you?
He's totally left it up to me. I wish he'd give me input.
Right.
But I think he wants it to come from my heart. He says, don't worry, you'll do a great job, don't worry. So I'm trying to take that advice.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an intimidating moment.
Donald Trump certainly follows his own advice, tweeting whatever's on his mind at any given moment. Do you like the way he uses social media?
Well, the only filter is himself. He's able to communicate exactly what he wants to say. It has gotten him into trouble occasionally, but I think much more powerful is the fact that each word isn't carefully being cleared by around 80 different people and distilled to mean almost nothing. He speaks from the brain, he speaks from the heart.
He posted a tweet criticizing Hillary Clinton, and he used a Star of David. And you are Jewish, you've converted. Can you understand why that ruffled feathers for the Jewish community?
Well, he clearly did not think that was a Star of David. So I think that it should have been taken at face value. That was clearly not the intention. My father's track record of supporting and advocating for Jewish people and for Israel is unimpeachable for a very long time, whether it being the Grand Marshal of the Israel Day Parade to the support that he's offered my husband and myself and our family as a young Jewish couple. I know the person and I know his intent, and you know, I think that was really rather ridiculous.
What is the one thing that you want us to hear about your father?
I don't know that people appreciate his tremendous empathy and his warmth, but they should. Our country needs a president who's able to dream big, and my father will be able to do that in a very big and a very real way.
What role do you see yourself playing in a Trump White House?
Right now I take things day by day. I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
Can you envision a life in Washington?
In the last several years, I've sort of had a life in Washington because we're building the old post office building 2 blocks from the White House. So I'm actually in D.C. at least every other week.
I wasn't really talking, you know, I was sort of more talking in
I know
general.
what you're talking about.
I know. Very well
I'm
done
trying to
now.
avoid the question. No, I don't.
You've gotten very savvy.
No, I just don't know. I have to see. And, you know, right now, obviously, my focus is on being a good mother to my children.
She is savvy and a good mother. Her focus
Blair's
is
exclusive interview with Ivanka Trump. As you know, she's been called her father's secret weapon, one of his most trusted advisors. She's going to introduce him Thursday night. And Lara, all year long, Ivanka has been very poised in the spotlight.
George, poised is the right word, and Ivanka says her father's candidacy is all about looking toward the future. That is something she is very excited to be a part of. And she is also not holding back about some big Republicans choosing to sit out the convention and her father's campaign. It was just over a year ago that you announced your father's presidential bid.
It is my pleasure to introduce to you today a man who I have loved and respected my entire life.
And in just a few days, you'll do it again, this time, though, as the presidential nominee. What has this year been like for you?
It's almost impossible to describe, to meet so many people, to hear their enthusiasm for his candidacy. He's the messenger of the people. He's the people's candidate.
Do you worry about his safety?
This young man allegedly had been targeting Trump for some time.
You also had a man try to rush the stage at an Ohio rally.
We live in scary times. I worry about the safety of my father, but I worry about the safety of every American, including my children and myself, my family.
This convention will come to order.
I do want to ask you about the convention. The Bush family, Mitt Romney, John McCain, not attending. What do you think it is about your father that makes him such a polarizing figure?
My father is an outsider. And we went through a very tough primary, and he emerged from that the winner, but there were certainly ruffled feathers along the way.
Was that hurtful to hear, though, that some major figures in the party would not?
No, that's
be
their
there?
choice. You know, if they don't want to be part of the narrative, if they don't want to be part of the future, but this really is about a forward-looking moment.
Hillary Clinton has an ad out.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
Have you seen that?
I have seen that, yes.
As a parent, if your children were to see that ad,
When Mexico sends its people, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime.
what would you say to your children?
I wouldn't have my children listening to those ads. The negative ads, especially those, and almost all of them are a complete manipulation of his words and packaged for maximum impact. Despite what anyone may say, including the opposition, I know the man, and so do my children.
Your father relies on you a great deal, though. Your brothers, your father, you are such a tight unit, but none of you have political experience. And here you are on the national stage, front and center, one of his key advisors.
I think that I have strong opinions. I articulate those opinions when asked, and he raised my brothers to be the same.
Your brothers and you were given the opportunity to talk to all of the vice presidential finalists, if you will. What were you looking for the person who stood by your dad's side?
We wanted to ensure that personalities would be complementary, that track record was well suited to the task at hand.
The next vice president of the United States, Governor Mike Pence.
Governor Pence has done an unbelievable job in the state of Indiana. And then also, you know, really the person, getting to know him and his wife and his children and who they are as a family.
Did you and your brothers all agree?
It was my father's decision, so.
But you weighed in.
We did weigh in. We did weigh in, but ultimately it was his decision.
Have you given him advice on how to change the perception that some women have about him?
Well, I think the perception is a flawed one. People talk and talk about gender equality, but do they actually live it? My father has. He believes in equality amongst the genders, economically, politically, socially. My father has empowered women, including me, his whole life.
And we will have more of my exclusive interview with Ivanka Trump. She is opening up about her big speech and her father's tweets coming up in our next hour. We're going to get right back to you, though. George and Robin in Cleveland.
All right there, Lara. Thank you.
Yeah, and Lara, boy, when you talked to her about that vice presidential search, she dove right in there, and they really did have a big role.